problem. Okay, at this time, we'll call the meeting to order. If you would, Madam Clerk, take our roll call.
All right, Mr. Braun?
Present.
Mr. Combs? Ms. Nelson?
Present.
Ms. Reclue?
Present.
Mr. Simmons?
Here.
Mr. Stone?
Present.
Mr. Washington?
Here.
And Mr. West?
Here.
7 council members present and 1 absent.
Thank you. And at this time, Pastor Williamson is here to lead us in our invocation.
Let's pray together. Our Heavenly Father, coming this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, the nation will pause to give honor to whom honor is due and tribute to whom tribute is due. This holiday was set aside to remember those who give their life in uniform in the line of duty, serving in our nation. And I want to include in that our police officers, firefighters, EMTs, and all first responders who give their lives serving as civilians in their local community. Please bless the memory of our military servants throughout our history and our public servants who keep us safe by day and night, that have given the ultimate price that we remain so as your people. The second thing I want to lift up, and it affects us all from Oklahoma all the way into the Appalachians. There's a very difficult weather cell that's passing through, and the next 48 hours will be critical across the heartland. I pray for your providential protection for life, limb, and property in that order. Ahead of the eyes of these storms, Lord, I pray that you're in place to take care and protect our people. I lift up the many who've come to this session tonight. And I pray, Lord, for their sharing, for the discussions that will be held, and for the decisions that ultimately could be made, that they be pleasing to you. I'm always really happy to see the community participate in government. That is a blessing. I ask you to continue to bless our city family and those who need your physical, spiritual, or emotional encouragement. As each day goes by, continue to bless our city family that needs your touch. I'm grateful for our mayor, council persons, administrators, and all those who lead this wonderful community. May you continue to give them good health, wisdom, and grace as they lead us and as we prosper. I pray now that you'll guide this session to your honor and to your glory, and we'll all give you the praise for it. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Face the flag. Attention, salute, and pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor.
Privilege, sir.
Thank you, Pastor.
Privilege.
All right, at this time, we'll entertain comments from visitors. If you would like to speak to the council, We ask that you step to the podium, give us your name and your address, and leave your comments to 5 minutes or less, please. And seeing no one come forward, we'll move right on.
We do need to amend tonight's agenda by
Okay.
adding a resolution and a bill. We need to add resolution 3409 and emergency bill 1617 relating to the state loan for the utilities.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
I move we amend the agenda to add Resolution 3409 and Bill number 1617 as an emergency ordinance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. So we do the,
Have been written, and we'll just, in fact, Councilman West, if you could do 3409 at the end of the resolution section, could you do
Sure.
that?
Can?
And I will present the emergency bill since we'll have to present it in full
okay,
at least one time,
and it'll be done at the end, after,
after first, the very last first reading.
okay, gotcha.
Ouch.
Okay, have a motion and a second. Are there any questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Thank you. All righty, public hearings. Up first will be public hearing on the consideration of rezoning 1205 Old Jeff City Road in Fulton, Missouri, from its current zoning of C3 planned commercial to C2 commercial. The second hearing will be in consideration of rezoning 1140 Highway 54 in Fulton, Missouri, from its current zoning of C3 planned commercial to C2 planned commercial. The format of the hearings will be as followed. I will issue 3 calls for anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the matter, then 3 calls for anyone who wishes to speak in favor. We ask that you come to the podium, state your name and address. The council will not interact with you during the public hearing, but may choose to do so later in the meeting. The first hearing pertaining to 1205 Old Jeff City Road is now declared open. There will be 3 calls issued for anyone wishing to speak in opposition of the matter being considered. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this matter? Second call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition of this matter? And third call, anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition? Okay, now there will be 3 calls issued for anyone wishing to speak in favor. First call, is there anyone present to speak in favor of this matter? Second call. And third call for anyone present who wishes to speak in favor of this matter. This public hearing is now closed. We'll move on to the second one. Public hearing pertaining to 1140 Highway 54 is now declared open. There will be 3 calls issued for anyone wishing to speak in opposition. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition to this matter? And second call. And third call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in opposition? Now there will be 3 calls for anyone wishing to speak in favor. First call, is there anyone present who wishes to speak in favor? Second call. And third call. Anyone here wishes to speak in favor of this matter? This public hearing is now closed, and we'll move on to the rest of our agenda. Thank you. Approval of the consent agenda. Council members may choose to remove an item for discussion prior to the approval. Tonight we have City Council meeting minutes of April 27th, meeting minutes of May 11th, the approval of the Director of Administration report for April, acknowledgement of the following board and commission reports, which is just the Public Utility Board from March 22nd, and then the reappointment of Harold Siebert to the Fulton Housing Authority Commission for a 4-year term expiration May 2025. And I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to remove the Director of Administration report from the consent agenda. I just have a couple questions on that.
Gotcha. Okay,
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda minus item C.
Second.
Have a motion and a second.
Okay.
Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I just want to make a comment to the new council members. When we do the approval of the consent agenda that includes appointments, it is unlawful for you to vote and approve an appointment of somebody that you're related to or that you have a relationship to. So I just want to bring that to your attention. This is the first one that's included an appointment since you became on the council. So I just wanted to remind you. So in case you do have a relationship with any appointment, you're not able to vote on it.
Very good. Yep, that's in the charter. Very good. Any other discussion or questions? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. We do have the DOA report on the floor now. Councilman, who has a question? Wes?
Yes, sir. Okay, well, one was just a kind of a general question, but it's on here under the engineering report. We've had a lot of rain in the last month. Seems like seeing people start building arcs and that sort of thing. But my question is inflow and infiltration, where we stand on that? I remember when I was on the council before, that was a big issue, and I know there's a lot of studies still going on. How did those rain events affect us?
Yes, last year we did a bunch of sewer lining kind of in that quadrant of town. So kind of Ward 2, I would say,
Okay.
in that section. And we stuck a meter back in there, and Daryl and I did some matching of when Burns and McDonald did their study, and how much I&I we had to after we lined that section, and we saw about a 35% reduction. So,
Okay.
which was more than what we actually expected, to be honest with you, because if you remember, you know, we're lining the public side. There's still a private side, you know,
Right.
all the houses and the pipes going to our main.
And we got 100 years of things going
Right,
on.
right, and there's just some things that it's going to cost too much to find. So
Right.
we thought that was pretty positive, and kind of the state of it now is that we have Visu Sewer in town camera in another section, and they'll be here later this year to line a section that they cameraed last year.
Right, but I remember it used to be we'd get a lot of rain, and a lot of it would end up at the sewer plant. So are we seeing a reduction there? I mean, other than the metering you said you did.
I think we're seeing a small reduction. It's just there is a lot of pipe, and we've just started our, you know, relatively speaking, our program's pretty young. So
Sure.
they're still getting quite a bit down there, but we are seeing that is being reduced just based on that section and the data coming back from that section. So the more we do, the better it'll be down there.
Okay, thank you.
When we got into this, one of the statements that a couple of the different engineering firms we interviewed told us was about a third of the infiltration comes from the public side, about a third of the inflow and infiltration comes from the private sector, from downspouts and service lines, and about a third of it just, nobody's ever gonna find it, you're never gonna get rid of it. So the most we can hope for doing what we're doing is about 33%, and they're knocking on 35% doors, so they're nailing what the engineers told us we would expect.
That's great, thank you. Okay, and the second question is on the airport. You mentioned that we just built 6 new hangars. So I wasn't on the council when this happened. How much did that cost? What was the cost of that?
The cost of that was right around $700,000, right in that realm.
Okay,
But that was grant money.
okay,
We
There
had
was-
grant money. Out of pocket was,
Right, 10% of that is what we had to spend, and actually, as the funds came in, and Kathy could you know, give more detail on this, but some of it is even less than that 10%, because we got 100% funded on some due to COVID.
okay, and we probably did some like kind or
Yeah.
in-house.
There is a little bit of in-house to it, but
Okay,
Not
mostly, most of it was contract labor.
okay, thank you.
It was 90/10,
Thank you so much. That's all I had.
All right, anybody else got
Only
questions?
because it was opened up, a big kudos to, I see him back there, the golf course, close to
Yes.
doubled.
Yeah.
The best year ever in revenue. So a great job to the golf course. That's it.
Thank you.
All righty, I have a
Motion
motion
to-
and a second on the floor.
Actually, no, hold on just
Oh,
one
I
second.
Motion to approve the DOA report is written.
Oh,
Second.
Thank you. Any other discussion on that? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes,
Yes.
and opposed, no. Thank you, John. All right. We are... Oh, okay. Financial report. Kathy.
Okay, we have 3 months of sales tax reported, and I'm sure that everybody has seen on the report, we are up 13.5%. But before I hear lots of cheers,
Say it again.
13.5, yeah, first time I've ever seen that. That is due in large part to the fact that our April 2020 collections were extremely, extremely low. If you remember, that was the beginning of the pandemic. Businesses were closed around town. I anticipate that in the months to come, that gain will diminish. As people got their stimulus money and spent it all, our sales tax increased quite a bit in '20, so.
Now, have you considered comparing that to maybe a broader range for this year because of the last year's anomaly?
Compared to like 2019?
Exactly, or
Yeah.
maybe combine 18, 19, and 20 and make that our, sort of our
Well, you'd
bar,
have to
our
compare
bench.
you would have to compare the first 3 months to the first 3 months of each year. I can do that very easily.
I don't know, this might be helpful to kind of really get a truer picture of where we
Mhm.
think we should be on a normal year. Does that make sense?
I think within a month or two, we're probably going to be right where we should be. But, we're, you know, I
But we
will
won't
be,
know because we'll
yeah.
be comparing to last year's one-off.
but last
that make
year, we
But
were up.
3%.
Yeah,
3%
we were
last
up.
Yeah,
year.
that's
We
true.
were up over
You
the
know.
prior year.
So,
Okay.
you know, in April, we really took a hit because our sales tax collections were so low. But
So you don't feel like it's gonna be way off then the rest of the year?
we
if
could-
I see that that's going to happen, I'll look at the prior years. How's that?
Yeah.
Bring it to the table.
Question answered, thank you.
Okay.
Carry on, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
I'm sorry, John.
No, two questions that I have, if you're ready for them.
Mm-hmm.
One is $7,000 for repairs to doors at City Hall. What did we do at City Hall?
Just what it says. We're gonna replace the outside upper doors and the outside lower doors.
The two swinging doors.
So we already have, or we
No, we
are
want to,
going to?
we will be.
Okay,
And-
perfect, that's fine. So there's a couple of them that are getting replaced.
And I believe it's gonna be about $7,000 a set.
Oh,
That's all that hit the book so far.
We've had two different very reputable companies come in, and I didn't like what the first company said, because the first company said you just need to replace them. And I said, well, we gotta get another opinion, so we had another opinion guy, and he came in and said, you need to replace them.
perfect, thank you.
They're bad and
That's,
strong.
that's fine, thank you. And then the second one is, over the years, and even at the end of last year, we watched revenue at the golf course jump drastically, and then we watched expenses jump drastically. I understand expenses may go up a little bit, but where did we go to 169% of expenses? Where's that from?
I am sure that part of it was, there were chemical purchases, you know, which they buy every spring.
And Clay, if you have an idea of what it might be too, as well.
And I included that to make it a little more relative, that even though we had a fantastic jump in revenues, our expenses also went up.
I
Yeah,
just
that's
wondered
the
if there was a
flip
big
side.
expenditure in there that was,
There was no capital or anything like
Is
that.
Did the golf carts or the equipment get encumbered?
Mm-mm. I don't believe so. I go through every line, I didn't see anything, other than the chemicals that I remember.
If the chemical perhaps would have got purchased in a month prior last year, that would be, would that make the difference?
And that's just 169% for that month.
sure,
Mhm.
sure.
It's just April over March.
And I would just add maybe, and maybe I'm wrong, might have my months confused, but the maintenance equipment lease may be on that line
Okay.
as well.
And that was in the range of,
I didn't see it, but our look,
Yeah.
It got paid in the last month or two.
and that was in the range of 52,000.
52,000, so.
So, I mean, there's a big part of it, right? That could be huge if that hit in April.
There's also stuff you do at the golf course, like aerate greens and top dress, that happens in April. So that's an expense that happens then, it doesn't happen in the middle of the summer. So that could be part of it.
Could you just check,
I will check.
look at that
I will
and
gladly
let us
check
know
for you.
what-
Mhm.
if there's anything that looks outrageous?
Yes.
I mean, the
I'm not
equipment
saying I didn't
the
miss
equi-
it.
Yeah, the equipment lease, that could be very well an answer.
Mhm.
You know, you take that out of it and then it comes down quite a bit.
Mhm. I will check and let you know.
And that's a one-time yearly annual payment.
Yeah, and like Kathy said, we buy a lot of chemicals this time of year, and I think a lot of the chemicals are coming later than we normally get them, just because delays in shipping and things like that, production, so, I'd say a big portion of it's the chemicals.
Are those purchased one time? How many times a year do we have to purchase those?
A big portion of it is purchased in the spring, some of it comes later in the year, depending on what's needed and when it's being applied. So we don't have a lot of storage space out there, so we just kind of buy it as needed.
All right. Any other questions?
I will also tell you, just in case you're thinking, is that a mistake? There is a credit in the stormwater expense line. I explained that in the notes. It was because there were some expenses that were originally coded to that fund, and then Kyle called and let me know that they needed to be moved. So of course, when we moved them, there's a credit.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
if I may. Thank you, first of all, Councilman Braun, for asking the question about the golf course expenses. I had the same question, so thank you for that. On the, trying to find it, solid waste. We made 3 tipping fee payments, and normally we make how many?
2,
So why was there an extra one?
5 weeks in the month, or time
Mhm.
rotation.
Okay,
Or that's when they get the requisition in and it gets approved so that we
Okay.
can pay it.
all right, thank you.
All righty. Going
Move.
once?
Move for approval.
I think I already have the motion.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
So all those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right.
I didn't hear the motion, I guess.
Kathy's gonna do our smart grid update too.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I will tell you that we made some progress, not a lot. This past month, the IT staff spent most of their waking hours at the rec center, trying to get the phones and computers and everything else up and running. However, we did electronically pull Route 27, which is John's route and Bill's route. We are going to bill that. In fact, the finance staff is in the process of billing right now. And we are optimistic that that will work. They have confirmed, gone out and manually looked at every meter on Route 36. So next month, we'll be pulling that one and billing it also. And they're continuing to chip away at it. The gas department has deployed 12 routes, and a gas department employee was in my office today to ask for a list of the meters on Route 13. So they're also moving along.
Thank
That's
you.
pretty much it.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. We'll move on. We're going to squeeze in a quick update on the rec center. I think we'd like to hear maybe from Clay how things are going out there.
We opened it to the public last week. You guys know that on Monday. Monday we had about 400 people out there. Tuesday we're very close to that. When I left this evening, there was about 70 cars in the parking lot. So it's been very busy. We've been open from 12 to 8. It gets busy, real busy about 2 o'clock, and stays busy throughout the evening. We've been working through a lot of things. There's a lot of operational things we're working through. We're training new part-time staff, so we've been doing that. A lot of technology issues that we're still trying to get worked out. And, overall it's been pretty good. We've had some issues with behavior. I'm sure y'all are aware of that, and we're addressing that as we go along. We made some changes as far as the accessibility to the fitness center and the cardio room. So right now during this free period, we're only allowing adults in there. So that's kind of helped out a little bit today, and that's improved the situation a little bit. But still, like I said, there's a few issues, and we're working through them.
During this time, Clay, do you have enough help to
Hey.
monitor all the rooms? I mean, obviously, we're doing free service to everyone in town, or basically anybody that wants to come in. Do we have enough help to help monitor?
I think we do. We have enough staff. It's just a matter of getting part-time staff trained and acclimated and doing the things we want them to do as far as monitoring the building and moving throughout the building and making sure things are going okay. One big issue is we still don't have the security cameras up and operating. I think once we get that going, you can monitor a lot of things from the front desk. So if you're not walking around checking on the building at the time, you'll be able to see a display that you'll see a lot of the things going on. So I think that'll help the situation a lot.
Clay, I have not seen, are there rules that people can read that when they come in the facility, like the gym use, are you in the process of making those, getting those things?
Yeah, we have some signs up for the field house,
Yeah.
rules for using the turf area. We have some signs up for the fitness and the cardio room. Those are posted inside the rooms. If you sign up for a membership, we provide you a policy guideline that you can look at and take home and read the rules. So do we have every rule posted? No, but again, a lot of the things that are happening over there right now,
It's the behavior.
yeah,
Well,
they're common sense things that people should know not to do.
Yeah.
So, but, like I said, we just when we see it, we address it, and we try to take care of it the best we can.
My question would help, having rules, having that to describe, to say, hey, this is what our policy is, there's no swearing, and you break that rule that you could be expelled, or, you will be asked to leave or something like that.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, having some signs, signs.
I mean, just
Some
saying,
people
if that's
read 'em.
something, yeah,
Some people read them, some people obey them, some people ignore them. Again,
But if you have it, you can say, hey, we have this
Yeah.
policy.
Well, the things that we're addressing are, like I said, they're common sense things. I think any reasonable person would expect you not to behave that way. So,
Well,
so we're dealing, like I said, we're dealing with the best we can, and we'll keep addressing it. And I think next week when we go to a different structure, some of these situations will
Sure,
go
yeah.
away.
Do we have any estimation on when the security cameras will be?
I don't.
I know that this has been a concern of yours from
Yes,
the beginning.
the IT's been working on it daily. There's a lot of issues with getting the internet connected to the back of the building. We don't have the phone line, we don't have the elevator working yet. So IT's been working on a lot of those issues. There's a lot of other issues that continue to pop up, like today we discovered we didn't have long distance service. So the phone company's been in there, they've installed the phones, but all of a sudden we just found out that we didn't have that. So they got to work through a lot of those issues too that pop up. But I feel like they're doing a good job over there. It's just it's kind of a slow process.
Clay, what else do you need to help us to make the rec center successful? What else can we do to help you?
I think we're doing good. Like I said, I think we got some ideas for programs in June. As soon as we get open in June, we're going to start having some more structured programs, things that people can sign up for and come do. But I would just encourage the public to keep visiting it. I mean, keep coming out. We've had a lot of positive feedback, not a lot of complaints. So I think it's going to be good for the community, and I think the more we do and the more people we bring in, it's going to be a great thing.
Do you feel like that with the security system the way it is right now, that we have too many people coming at one time for there to be?
I don't want to say that because we want as many people as we can get in there. So, and we anticipate that we're probably going to have events going on that we may have 500 or 600 people in there at a time. So, having a security system working would definitely help. But again, it also goes back to just training our staff and make sure they know what they're doing. The staff is younger, so they got to get comfortable with addressing some of those issues and being vocal about it.
There are going to be some growing pains.
There will be.
It's going to be a process, but sounds like it's going pretty good. Appreciate all your hard work, Clay, and your staff.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. Next up, we have new business. Oh, yeah, we're going to new business. Carver School. Wow, that's a throwback, huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
We have a proposal here for the community to turn that into senior apartments. Do we have someone here to make a presentation? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for allowing me to address you this evening. My name is Dan Sanders. I'm with Mako Development Company, and we're here to discuss what we would like to propose to do to the Carver School. Our team is made up of Mako companies. We're a Missouri development-based company that's been doing this since the 60s. We're working with Deb Shields, who is a historical consultant out of Columbia, Missouri. Randy Porter and Wallace Architects out of Columbia, Missouri is also working with us on this. And of course, we're working with the George Washington Carver Cultural Center group, whose most of the board members are represented here tonight. We actually met with the Carver board in the fall of 2018 to discuss the preservation of the Carver School. And due to the lack of financial resources available at that time, we had to walk away for a couple of years, but then last year the resources started being made available again. And so we started meeting with the board and came up with this plan to try to move forward to preserve the school. We are going to apply for resources, and even though they're there, they are still very competitive and very scarce. Probably there's applications of 4 or 5 to 1 for everyone that gets approved for the money to do these kind of properties. The model that we have used successfully in previous years to preserve historic buildings like Carver School is to preserve it and convert it to apartments for senior citizens. And this model requires the building of additional new construction apartments for us to have enough financial income to make it worthwhile and to preserve it into the future and have enough to service any debt that we might have while we have this property. Ideally, to have enough resources to rehab and preserve a project like Carver School, it takes federal and state historic credits, federal and state affordable housing credits, which is the LIHTC program. And this year with the construction costs, it may take a little bit of an additional federal resource to get there. These applications for these resources are through 2 different state agencies, the Missouri Department of Economic Development and the Missouri Housing Development Commission. They both have separate rules and they have different application timetables, so trying to mesh them together is part of the trick. The DED applications are due in July. MHDC just now has put out their draft rules for this year, and it looks like it's probably going to be a September deadline for their applications. And announcements by DED are typically October, November, and sometime around December, hopefully, for MHDC this year. The one critical element in competing for these funds is community support, and that's the reason we're requesting that the Fulton City Council approve a resolution of support for our applications and agree to donate the lot at 322 West 9th to the George Washington Carver Cultural Center if we're approved for the credits and the financing, and then they will contribute it to the property as part of the closing when we close to start construction on the project. And following, I'll show you some of the preliminary plans that we have for this preservation and development. This is our architecture rendering of what the school will look like upon completion, and in the background is the two-story new construction units that will be built onto the school. There's the site plan. The school is in the front along Westminster, connected to the new construction in the back, the parking on both sides, but the historical prominence facing Westminster is kept open and available, and that's something that, like the State Historic Preservation Office, will look at closely, making sure we keep that there. These are just the elevations of the existing building. This is the floor plan of what the renovated first floor of the school will be. 4 one-bedroom apartments, 1 two-bedroom apartment. The gym and stage area will be made into offices, community area, exercise area, computer center, community kitchen. And we will put in this area a area which will be allowed the George Washington Carver Cultural Center to make into a small museum to keep memorabilia, yearbooks, things from the past from when it was an operating school. But as alumni are in town, we'll be able to schedule time to be able to come into the building to access it. Second floor plan, 3 more one-bedrooms and a 2-bedroom. This is a typical one-bedroom unit plan. All the one-bedrooms are slightly different, but that's just to fit into the building. With it being a building that's already there, we have to make everything fit. But these will all be built to the National Home Builders Green Standards, so they'll be highly energy efficient. They will have washer dryers, ranges, refrigerators, dishwashers. They will be a high-quality apartment for seniors to live in. Typical 2-bedroom, same amenities, just a 2nd bedroom. This is the floor plan of the new construction, and both 1st and 2nd floor are exactly the same. You'll have 12 2-bedroom units. We typically try to be heavier on the number of 2-bedroom units. Seniors anymore, they need and want that additional bedroom for storage. Sometimes medical reasons, sleep separately. Grandchildren, but again, grandchildren can only be here on a visiting. They are not allowed to be residents of the building. This is the new construction, typical 2-bedroom unit plan. Again, the same amenities, highly energy efficient units.
Had to get my bearings where you were.
We have done 4 other similar historic properties like this. Eugene Fields School, which is 30 apartments for elderly in Park Hills. Lincoln Hubbard School, which is 39 apartments for residents, elderly residents in Sedalia. Vine Street Apartments, which is 42 units in downtown Poplar Bluff, Missouri. And Community Place Apartments, which is 48 apartments for elderly in Ponca City, Oklahoma. This is the Eugene Fields Apartments, which is rehab, again, like Carver School, of a historic school, with a new addition built onto the back. This is the Lincoln Hubbard Apartments in Sedalia, Missouri. Again, a rehab of historic school and a new addition. Vine Street Apartments was the historic rehab of 2 downtown buildings and a new construction addition. And this is Community Place Apartments, which is in downtown Ponca City, Oklahoma, with a new construction building a block or so away. Just to kind of give you an example of what we can go through and what can be done with these buildings, give you some of the before and after of the Lincoln Hubbard School, which would be a good example of the Carver. Actually, this school was in worse shape than the Carver School. This is the gymnasium before. This was, had a hole in the roof, big hole in the roof. It had been exposed to the elements, had a lot of water damage. It had been broken into. There was fire pits there in the gym where people had either been partying or living. Had a lot of animal, bird damage. There's the balcony area and the gym stage area before we started construction. Again, a lot of just damage from the elements. This is the old stage. You'll notice the old scoreboard on the right side there up in the corner. This was one of the classrooms before. Over there in the left corner, bottom corner, is the water head. There was basically, you could step all the way through to the next floor. The hallway, the stairway. And like I say, we've been all through the Carver School, and it's in a lot better shape than this building was to begin with. This is the outside, the front entrance. Another exterior picture. And there's the gym afterwards. The community area. We have offices, community kitchen there underneath. There's a before and after of what that area looks like. This is after the stage. This is the refinished scoreboard. That's the score of the final game that was played in the school before the school was shut down. When we preserved it, we put it up there to say that. There's the gym before and after the stage. There's the balcony afterwards. It's got a workout facility up there. There's the museum and their library and the setting area for people who want to look at things that are in the museum or the library. And again, there's the before and after of the balcony. Stairway and hallway area afterwards. And again, the comparison of before and after. There's the front entrance afterwards. Before and after. And there is the finished product upon completion of the exterior, including the addition of the new construction units to the right. The Alumni Association put this memorial there in front. They did that dedication. We gave them the space there to do that, which beautiful addition to the block. That's kind of the before and after of where we got to on that. Upon completion, the Carver School apartments, if we're successful, will have 33 independent living apartments for senior citizens. Initial underwriting requires rents of $600 to $650 a month, and that includes water, sewer, and trash. We'll have 5 apartments set aside for residents with special needs, handicapped individuals, $320 to $370 a month. And this project does not have any rental assistance, so this is made for like residents that are on Social Security, small pension. It is income restricted, but there is no rental assistance. The resources to develop these properties are competitive, they're scarce. They include federal and state historic and affordable housing credits. And again, local support is critical in this development process, and I would appreciate your support if you could give it to us. And I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Mr. Stern, go ahead.
So these apartments would not be eligible for vouchers?
They could, somebody could qualify for a voucher. We can't turn down, that's fair housing. We couldn't turn down somebody if they did qualify to get a portable voucher.
Okay.
Yes.
And
No, go ahead.
just the follow-on. I know your focus is the renovation and the turning it over, but are you aware of what's the occupancy rate of those other properties that you've converted?
They're a long waiting list. They're 100% in the long waiting list. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. White.
Okay, only question I had is, with there being things on the second floor, is there an elevator gonna be required for
In the new
ADA?
construction,
Yes.
there is not in the old school.
Okay, so they could get to the second floor by going over there and then walk back, or no?
Now, the second floor won't, of the school itself will not be accessible.
Okay.
The first floor and all the amenities, and then the apartments on first and second floor of the new construction will be fully accessible.
How long has the school been closed? I know it's been
I think Jeff and I's class was the last one to go through there. That would have been 80.
One?
Boy, I don't even want to
81,
say.
yeah. 82.
82.
So-
They're saying
Yeah,
82.
So I was in
82.
town
We
when
walked
that
out of there
happened.
in 82.
Did you?
I know the community's been wanting to do something with this for a
I
long
think it-
time,
yes.
so I think it's great.
I have a question. How many people would this employ? How many people would it employ? How many employees per facility?
Typically, we'll have a manager and a maintenance person on, and after it gets up and going, they'll work probably three-quarter time, maybe full-time in certain times, especially during lease-up. But after that, the seniors are pretty easy to manage. It's usually, but there will be a couple of part-time at least employees hired on this. And it will create construction jobs during construction. We are a Missouri-based company. We do come in and we do put it out for bids. So, we do look and hopefully are successful in using local contractors.
So these are senior apartments, not assisted living apartments,
Right,
correct?
these are independent living, these are not assisted.
Okay.
Are there going to be age requirements?
There are.
Will that apply to the set aside 5 or 6 apartments that are special?
Yes,
They're still have to be such an age?
yeah, it's allowed under fair housing when you set your rules up front.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I'd just like to say, I think it's wonderful. You'll obviously get the support of the council on this. It's fantastic. I'm just curious, who came to who? Did you come to the Carver group first, or did they come to you?
actually,
Just out of
actually,
curiosity.
Grace contacted me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Way to go. I think it's great.
You go.
Good deal.
All
I
right.
remember this, was it 3 years ago we had the discussion?
The Lincoln Hubbard School in Connecticut, and said that's exactly what we need.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
And then-
Cool.
Yeah.
Then you retain ownership and you manage it, or you're the
Because of
development
Because
company?
of the credits, it goes into a general partnership, limited partnership. We will be general partners. We've been, like I said, we've been doing this since the 60s. We went into multifamily in the 70s. We've rehabbed most of our apartments. We build them to own them for the long haul.
Okay.
Manage and construct and own them, so we don't flip them. The investor will be in for 15 to 20 years, and then they will, that's just to get the tax credits, and then they're out.
Okay.
That's buy down a mortgage where the rents are affordable. That's what that purpose is.
Okay. But you retain ownership
Yes.
through, okay, thank you.
And now, I will say this, and we've kind of talked to them about it. If there is a way that the local not-for-profit, in this instance, if they would ever want to work with us on that side, so that it can be maintained locally, then, we would look at something like that too.
Excellent. Do we want a motion on this, Bill? Or?
Yeah, sure.
We get it.
Well, I
we
don't think
actually-
we'll wait for later.
We have a resolution.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we have.
Yeah.
We'll get to it.
Do we have more questions over here?
Resolution of
Anybody?
Yes, I have, yes. Let's, we know that we see where the rent is. What's the possibility of being raised on these, on tenants
Over
in
time.
the future?
Well, that's such we trended, we have to turn it into government agencies based upon it, 2% and 3% trending, 2% income, 3% expenses.
Okay.
Typically, we have to turn in an annual expense report to them, they look at it, see what the expenses are, we have to request. And typically, senior apartments don't move up that quick.
From your
we had
passive,
a
from your
big
passive.
jump in real estate taxes, or a big jump in utility rates, all that stuff would drive what you might have to pay.
Okay.
What's the age? Like what's your age requirement?
We will do 55 and over.
55. 55's the senior. I thought 55 was the new 40.
I've been qualified for a long time.
All right, very
I
good.
think that makes us vote no, right, doesn't it? If you're calling 55 a senior.
Yeah.
I want to talk
Just wanna
about how
leave
many
your
people
options
here
open.
are eligible
We
for
just
that.
won't talk about it. How about that? Close that discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dan.
Thank you.
All right, we move on to council concerns. I'll start at my left, Councilman West.
You stirred with me last time, I think.
Did I?
Yeah.
I forget.
I just wonder, I have one question. If the city is doing utility work or street work or something and there's damage done to private property, what is our policy on that?
I'm gonna say the vast majority of the time we'll go back and repair it once it's brought to our attention.
Okay. Okay.
But then I'm not quite sure what your question, but if you have built a fence
Yeah.
on a sewer easement, we will remove the fence and not put it back. If you have planted trees on that same sewer easement, and we have to take the trees out, we're gonna take the trees out, we're not gonna put anything back. But if we do some curb damage or sidewalk damage, we will do our best to get that repaired once we know about it or it's brought to our
Or
attention.
another example might be, if, you know, some of the sewer lines that go through the people's backyards, do we
If it's
reseed them
on-
and that sort of thing?
If it's on our easement,
Yeah,
we're gonna go through, we're gonna put a new sewer line, and we're gonna put grass seed back.
and that's, right, okay.
But if you have to, if you've built a shed or a garage on top of the easement, sorry.
Yeah. Okay,
And it's applied fairly to everyone.
yeah. I wasn't saying it wasn't, I just didn't,
Yeah.
I had, in all the years I've been on and off the council, I never asked that question and didn't know what our policy was and, yeah. Okay, thank you.
All righty. Mr. Sims?
No,
Mr. Foot?
I have one thing I'd like to ask Kyle. In front of the Trends, used to be closed covered, there's a sidewalks damaged, and there's a light, and then below the light, it's been about several weeks now, where the concrete's missing and there's cones put up. What's going on there? Is there?
Down south of town here, is that what
Yes,
you're
down in front
referencing?
of, yeah.
There was a sewer manhole, I believe, that had to be raised, or a sewer line that had to be worked on, and so we know that we need to get that patched.
Right.
We've been dragging our feet on it because we got our whole crew on 10th Street pretty well,
I know.
but yes, we do need to get that fixed.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I had one other thing. How are we doing on our repair of our water towers, our painting and our?
They're working on putting some specifications together, and we probably are going to hire an engineering firm to come in and do an evaluation and help us put those specs together, what the towers need to come up to do compliance.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have this evening, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Mr. Stone?
Nothing, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Braun?
Nothing this evening, sir. Just when we get done with council concerns, could we take the quick few minutes because we do have a full reading tonight? A
Oh, a
short
break.
break.
Oh, a break. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Didn't know what you're asking.
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. You got a pee.
Sorry, everyone.
All right. Mr. Washington?
A couple of things, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
It's been brought to my attention that when the grounds crew were cutting the grave sites, and because of Memorial Day, some of the grass is getting on some of the markers and covering up. And I know the guys are really doing a pretty good job doing it, but there was a family member who went out and was looking for their parents' markers, and they were concerned about, they said, you know, they're doing a good job cutting it, but the grass is covering up the markers, and they were just wanting to see if that can be addressed over here, south. Yeah. And also, Clay, was brought to my attention that, is there anything in the works for a fence around the splash park? They were concerned about little kids possibly running over into the street, so, you know, the little bitty ones, not the older ones. Is that something that you're thinking about doing?
We've talked about it in the past, the council's brought that up a little bit.
Okay.
The concerns we have about putting a fence there is there's so many underground utilities, water lines. There's a massive amount of water lines going from
Yeah.
that building over. So there's a little bit of concern about how we would put a fence. I think we came up with some ideas. It's been maybe 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah,
We kind of feel like there's kind of a natural barrier there with the hillside, and then there's some rocks and columns and things like that. So we really haven't had a whole lot of complaints about it. You know, we do ask the parents to supervise their children when they're down there, and but I can dig out the options we came up with several years ago and bring them back to the council if you'd like to see them.
I think one of the concerns was, you know, if, you know, the parents are sitting over here, but there's no lot of seating, and some of those seats are occupied, and they're sitting over here with a distance away, trying to keep an eye on the kid. But if you got a little tot that's probably about 3 years old, 4 years old, and they decide to run out into the street, hopefully they know better, but they were just concerned about that. That was it.
That's a valid concern, and like I said, we encourage parents and
Yeah.
guardians just to, you know, keep a close eye on those little ones.
Sure, I agree.
But again, if the council would like to see the options that we came up with in the past, we could bring those back.
Thank you, sir.
Sure. All righty. Councilwoman Nelson.
I've had several people talk to me about the lighting on Richland Heights, that there isn't really any. I know that all the time there's so many deer. I did notice that the lines had just been put on, which is great because it's so hard to see out there at night, so.
Yeah, we had some, it took us a little bit, but yeah, that striping was definitely necessary, I think.
Yeah,
on that road at
it's
night,
very
for
hard to
sure.
see, and there's just flocks of them,
Yep.
of those deer out there.
Yeah. All righty. So we will, if everyone's okay, we'll take 5. Is that good?
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you all for that much-needed little break. We'll move into our resolutions now. Councilman Simmons, if you would present 3406 for us.
Yes, sir. Resolution number 3406, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to a contract with Missouri Petroleum Products Company, LLC of St. Louis, Missouri, for the purpose of providing aggregate seal coat services. I make a motion that we approve resolution number 3406 at tonight's meeting.
Second?
Okay, I have a motion and a second on the floor. Do we have any discussion on this? Basically, it's a yearly deal. We piggyback onto the county's chip seal contract. And this is just a resolution approving that, so. Any discussion?
Well, real quick, if Kyle, if we decide soon to go up in dollars and do some additional stuff, is that still a possibility with this? Or are they
Yeah, I mean, I think if
allowing
you
us
wanted
so
to
much
add
time?
some chip seal, some further streets to chip seal, I think that Missouri Petroleum would be all ears.
Okay.
Yeah, and now, we would need to obviously have discussions with them so they have material. They stock the material and get it here, but I think there's potential.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
how does this compare with what was budgeted for this? This isn't the asphalt overlay, right? This is chip seal.
No,
We will tell them our budget,
Yeah.
and they'll develop the project in cooperation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. Thank you for that. If you would, Mr. Snow, present 3407.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution number 3407, a resolution authorizing the mayor on behalf of the city of Fulton, Missouri, to sign all necessary documents in relation to a settlement of litigation with Thomas Parker. I make a motion to approve resolution number 3407 at tonight's meeting.
Second?
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. All right, we'll move on to resolution 3408, if you would, Councilwoman Recluse.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Resolution 3408, a resolution of the City Council of Fulton, Missouri is in support of the Carver School Apartment, a proposed development for senior citizens. I make a motion that resolution 3408 be passed at tonight's meeting.
Second. I have a motion and a second. We did hear from the group that's going to be doing the development. Is there any questions or discussion further? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. Awesome. Thanks to everyone involved.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Get her done.
Fantastic.
Let's hope for continued
Good luck. Hey.
success.
Hey, yes. There
Hey,
you go.
If you need anything else from us, you let us know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unless it's $1 million.
We need to
Then
do
don't
what,
ask.
we need to do what, we need to do what we need to do to help you get this.
I would agree. Thank you.
Okay, then we have one additional,
Yes, right here.
yeah,
Yeah.
additional resolution 3409, and Councilman West, if you would.
Okay, thank you. Resolution number 3409, a resolution authorizing the city of Fulton, Missouri to apply for the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program for the purpose of obtaining a loan from the state of Missouri to finance wholesale electricity and our natural gas costs incurred due to extraordinary prices between February 10 and 2021. I move for adoption of resolution 3409 at tonight's council meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a resolution, a motion is on the floor. This is basically on the agenda tonight because it's time sensitive. We have to get this grant in place before our next council meeting, so,
Loan application.
the loan application, yes. It's not a grant, it's a loan. So basically, it's something that we've kind of got to get done pretty quickly, so I'll entertain any questions that anyone has on this.
I've got a couple questions.
Absolutely.
When do we think the state is gonna diverse, or give out the money? Is that,
They're beginning to accept applications on June 2nd. That's all I know.
okay,
That's all I know.
okay, gotcha.
And it's only 50 million for the whole state, I think, is that
Right.
right?
And it is first come, first served.
Mhm.
That's why we're doing it this evening instead of waiting till next council
Right.
meeting,
Yes.
I understand.
because it's time sensitive.
And then, once we figure out how much we're getting and when, we'll figure out what we're gonna do with it. Is that
We are-
a
yes.
fair statement?
Shore up our
Yes.
reserves.
Pretty much we're
gonna
gonna
go back in
just
the bank.
let it
Right,
sit
I
in the bank.
understand that.
For the, yeah.
But the other thing is, it's $678,000 a year we've gotta pay back.
But
this
if,
loan,
if,
we get the whole amount?
right. But if we choose to do that and we don't have the available operating funds to pay that back, we can pay it back from the borrowed funds.
Correct. And we can talk about that later.
At
Yeah,
Thursday.
Yeah,
that's right, yeah, Thursday.
okay.
Yep. Yeah, this is just pretty much because we don't have the time, we had to get it done tonight, so.
And then we'll discuss.
Yeah, no, I don't want to discuss it tonight.
All righty. Any other questions? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no? All righty. We- Oh, okay.
Not me this time.
Gotcha. Okay, we'll move on to first reads for ordinances. Councilman Combs is not here. Councilman Braun, would you mind presenting this?
Bill number 1614, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance a tract of land located at 1205 Old Jefferson City Road in Fulton, Missouri, and an establishing effective date. I make a motion to put Bill 1614 at the next regularly scheduled meeting.
Do I have a
Second.
There we go.
Sorry.
Oh,
That's
I'm
okay.
sorry, I was reading, I'm sorry.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I do.
Go for it.
And it kind of involves the next one also. We've got one piece of property that's a car dealership, which is what we're talking about here. So I'm confused as to why we're even doing this.
The property at 1205, they're wanting to add a storage building on that property.
Okay,
So right now, they're operating in a non-conforming use because car
okay,
is not allowed in the C3. So they're requesting to rezone it to a C2, which would allow them to build the storage facility. The property across the street, 1140, is a storage facility. They also own another storage facility out on 54, West Side Storage, which is zone C2. So they came in and asked for the rezoning to kind of clean up the C3. So both of their sites would be a C2.
okay, so that makes sense.
That makes sense,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
You might actually, this question, I asked the question at the planning and zoning meeting, what's the difference between C3 and C2?
C3 is a planned commercial for bigger pieces of property.
Like
It's,
a
you know,
shopping
like a
center?
shopping center, multiple buildings on one
Oh,
parcel.
okay.
It doesn't really fit with what's there now.
What was that?
And
So we're-
I don't know how long it's been C3.
Oh.
This is kind of cleaning up some of our zoning
We've-
issues.
We've talked, I don't know, 3 times over the last 20 years of just doing away with C3 altogether and making it all C2, but we just can't,
You'd have to go with.
we have to go through every property
Every property.
individually.
How many C3s do we have?
A lot, too much.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good enough answer.
Very good. Sort of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but this one's broke. We gotta fix it.
Yeah, this is a time to clean it up.
Yeah, very good.
Okay.
All right, any other discussion on 1614? I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. And Mr. Washington, if you would, present 1615.
Thank you, Mayor. Bill number 1615, an ordinance reclassifying under the zoning ordinance a tract of land located at 1140 Highway 54 in Fulton, Missouri, and establish an effective date. I make a motion that we move bill number 1615 for the second reading at the next scheduled council meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Thank you. And we'll move on to Bill 1616. Councilwoman Nelson, if you would.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Bill number 1616, an ordinance amending Appendix A, zoning section 4, use regulations. Item B1A, other use regulations, Fulton City Code, by repealing certain regulations, enacting new regulations in lieu thereof, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to place bill number 1616 for a second reading at the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Second.
And if you would just run through that real quick.
Yes, so this here, I've had conversations with Mr. Johnson over the last year. This has come up a couple different times on different parcels of property. The way it's written now is on a 15,000 square foot lot, you could build a 1,000 square foot accessory building. But on an acre piece of property, you could only build a 1,200 square foot building. Another 200 square foot on a piece of property that's 3 times the size. So we've had, the biggest issue is the smaller buildings between 1,000 square foot and 3,000 square foot is what people are wanting to build on 1 to 3 acres. So that's, when I changed that, the square footage, I went ahead and extended it on out to parcels of 10 acres. Because I've got an individual that has 10 acres that wants to build a 9,600 square foot building to store collector tractors. But we do not allow that right now. So that's kind of where this.
But he owns 10 acres, which is.
Yeah.
So I don't think we'll see a lot of the bigger buildings, but you might see some of the 2,000 square foot accessory building on 2, 3 acres. It's still going to keep the 1,000 square foot for residential lots, 15,000 square foot.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
And this has gone through planning and zoning?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
And we had, Mr. Johnson and I talked about it, we were just waiting for a rezoning to come up when we had planning and zoning together to present them something.
Okay,
Oh,
thank you.
okay.
So Dennis, in the notes, in the draft from the P and Z that's here, you spoke specifically about not affecting not affecting commercial businesses. Are we covered with that? 'Cause, I mean, I can go through it and I don't see where it
Well,
explains that.
and the way we kind of treat commercial, say La Crosse Lumber wants to build another building down there. That wouldn't be considered an accessory building because it's their use for their commercial business. It'd be
Okay.
to store lumber or whatever. So I wouldn't consider that an accessory building. If that makes sense. If a car lot was gonna build a building out there for storage, that would be considered an accessory building. This mainly pertains to residential building, or residential lots.
So I guess that's my question. Should we add something to it to exclude commercial or businesses?
I had that in there originally to the P and Z, and they wanted to take it out and leave it with all districts.
I think the thought there was to give more flexibility.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
But by using the term accessory building, that defines that they can't run commercial business out of that building, correct?
I'm not gonna say they can't run commercial, but
Could be a home-based business.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Say Dan Hoosier builds a warehouse over here. I wouldn't consider that an accessory building because it's a warehouse for what they already do, to store the product they're making.
So but could
If that
someone,
makes
And
sense.
this would allow that?
What's
If,
that?
if they had the, if they
Well,
had the
they
acreage?
could do it anyway, because we don't have any restrictions on, as long as they have the property to expand
Size.
in a
And meet the
commercial.
setbacks.
I mean, and
And
I
more
can,
so
I,
from my perspective, it's what I'm thinking is if a resident or a person within the area complained about, well, that's an accessory building. Here's my accessory building, what's the difference between mine and theirs? Are we putting ourselves not excluding that?
Right, and it shouldn't be up to just Dennis's discretion as to his version of what determines if it's an
I
accessory
would agree.
building or not.
I would agree with
I
that.
completely have that concern too. I don't think it's fair to you.
We'll go back, based on the comments tonight, we'll go back to the section A on the planning and zoning, the coding, and we will review, I don't even remember what the definition of accessory building is. It might be restricted to residential. But we'll do some review, and if
Yeah.
if we believe that it's not covered under the existing verbiage, we'll either we'll either amend this to only be for residential, or specifically state that it's not for commercial.
because that's what we originally had in that we were just gonna limit this to residential, and I think agricultural districts. It wasn't gonna pertain to commercial districts.
It's kind of already in here, but I think it's implied more than it's
That actually states.
stated right out.
Well, this is a first reading. We have time to talk about it and make changes.
So you're gonna, just so I'm clear, we're gonna look at it, and if we need to amend something to it, it's
We'll,
yours
we'll,
to do.
we'll evaluate it, we'll
Thank
look
you.
at it and try and read it and see if we can come up with some sort of a silver bullet to answer the question that it's okay the way it is, or we'll try and fix it.
Thank you.
We can put the words back in that P and Z took out. I mean, they just recommend, right? So
Right. Cool. Thank you all. Thanks, Dennis. All right, we'll move on to second reads. Councilman West.
Hold on just
we have
one
the other
moment,
one.
so we
Yeah,
do
yeah.
need to vote on that.
We still need to vote.
Yeah, I'm
Well, that
trying to
too.
rush. Sorry, guys.
we also have another,
There's one, yeah.
Yeah, we gotta
Ordinance.
squeeze in something for Courtney here. Okay, so we do have a motion on the floor. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. And carry on.
All right, something for me. This is what I'm looking forward to right here.
Yeah, you can do it.
Thanks,
So
Courtney.
just to clarify,
Been
first
there.
reading, we will go ahead and read it in its entirety. Again, this ordinance is pertaining to the loan through the state of Missouri, so bear with me, please. Bill number 1617, emergency, an emergency ordinance authorizing the execution of a loan agreement between the city of Fulton, Missouri and the state of Missouri, acting by and through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, for the purpose of obtaining a loan pursuant to the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program to finance wholesale electricity and/or natural gas costs incurred due to extraordinary prices between February 10th and 20th, 2021, establishing a dedicated source of revenue for repayment of such loan, authorizing and approving certain documents in connection therewith, and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the loan agreement. Whereas, on May 13th, 2021, Governor Michael L. Parsons signed into law, truly agreed to, and finally passed for House Bill number 15, 2021, establishing the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program and authorizing the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, to distribute up to $50 million in loans for the purpose of providing loans to municipal utilities and municipal utility commissions for extraordinary electricity and/or natural gas costs incurred due to higher prices between February 10th and 20th, 2021. And whereas the city of Fulton, Missouri has previously adopted resolution number 3409, authorizing the city to make an application to the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, for a loan pursuant to the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program. And whereas the governing body of the city hereby finds and determines that it is necessary and desirable to accept the loan and to enter into a loan agreement for certain other documents related thereto, and to take certain actions required in order to implement such loan agreement. Therefore, be it ordained by the governing body of the city of Fulton, Missouri, Section 1, Authorization of the Loan Agreement. The city is hereby authorized to accept the loan and to enter into a loan agreement with the state of Missouri, acting by and through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, to finance the extraordinary electricity and gas costs incurred due to higher prices between February 10th and 20th, 2021. The loan shall be in an amount not to exceed $3,390,000. The interest rate on the loan shall be 0%. The loan shall be repaid over a term of not to exceed 5 years. The city has requested semi-annual repayment dates. The mayor and clerk are hereby authorized to execute the loan agreement, the mayor's execution of the loan agreement being conclusive evidence of such approval. Section 2. Establishment of dedicated source of revenue for repayment of the loan. The city hereby establishes a dedicated source of revenue for repayment of the loan. In accordance therewith, the city shall set, impose, and/or collect such rates, fees, and charges for the use and services furnished by or through its electric and gas utility, including all improvements and additions thereto hereafter constructed or acquired by the city, as will provide revenues which are sufficient to A, pay the cost of the operation and maintenance of the system, B, pay the principal of the loan as and when the same becomes due, and C, pay the principal of the interest on all other outstanding bonds or indebtedness to the system, provided, however, no lien or other security interest is granted by the city to the state on the system revenues pursuant to the loan. The city will also covenant to request annual appropriations in an amount sufficient to pay the principal of the loan as and when the same becomes due. Section 3, further authority. The mayor, clerk, and other city officials are hereby further authorized and directed to execute any and all documents and to take such actions as they may deem necessary or advisable in order to carry out and perform the purposes of the ordinance, and to make alterations, changes, or additions in the foregoing agreements, statements, instruments, and other documents herein approved, authorized, and confirmed, which they may approve, and in the execution or taking on such action shall be conclusive evidence of such necessity or advisability. Section 4. Governing law. The ordinance and the loan agreement shall be governed exclusively by and construed in accordance with the applicable laws of the state of Missouri. Section 5. Effective date. This ordinance shall take effect and be in full force from and after its passage by the governing body of the city and publication or publication of a summary thereof in the official city newspaper. Section 6. That this ordinance is an emergency ordinance within the meaning of Article 3, Section 3.10F of the Fulton City Charter to apply for and secure funding through the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program in response to extraordinary prices incurred between February 10th and 20th, 2021, relating to wholesale electricity and/or natural gas. The application submission period will open prior to the next city council meeting, and swift action is imperative to the success of the city's application for funding. Passed by the governing body of the city on May 25th, 2021, and signed and approved by the mayor.
I make a motion to take 16-17 emergency to second reading at tonight's meeting by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Good job, Courtney. That was a lot of
Thank you.
words.
Thank you
Yeah.
for doing Tyler.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate that.
Had to clear your throat a couple times, but that's all right.
And I apologize, who was the second on that?
I was.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
Mike's on it. All right. Any questions or discussion on this? Yes, sir.
Section 2. It is not telling us we have to raise rates to repay this loan, is it?
It is not.
Okay. Because I've read it several times, and it's kind of what it sounds like.
We're
But
guaranteeing that we will have adequate revenues.
Okay.
Including that as a possibility, I would guess. Right.
Also, what this really states is that we're gonna continue to offer these services for which we're getting a loan. So it's not as though we're going to give up those services now that we've gotten the money. So that's really what this is.
Okay.
Sort of the string that's attached.
I don't have a problem repaying a loan. I just had a question about the way Section 2 is worded. So,
I
okay.
agree with you, Councilman, and it states that we'll establish a dedicated source of revenue.
This dedicated source of revenue may be the loan proceeds.
Gotcha.
I'm good with that.
We're gonna do a bunch of car washes.
Ooh, I like that.
Bake sale.
Because that'll come out of the water reserve.
Oh, sorry about
Like
that. I
there's a
forgot
difference.
that.
That's a good idea.
Call the question.
I've done a lot of car washes in my day.
Okay. We're not supposed to just have fun up here.
Continuing
No,
on.
no.
It's all
Sorry,
fine, it's
shame,
fine.
shame on you.
Okay. Sorry, Mr.
I
Mayor,
like
you wanna hit my hand with a gavel?
Yeah. No, gavel's good tonight.
And I did do it by title only for Courtney.
I appreciate that.
All right, so we do have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
And opposed, no. If you would again, sir.
All right, I think you meant ma'am,
Oh,
but I'm
ma'am,
gonna
damn
forget it. It's
Thought he
okay.
had-
Bill number 1617, emergency. An emergency ordinance authorizing the execution of a loan agreement between the City of Fulton, Missouri and the State of Missouri, acting by and through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, for the purpose of obtaining a loan pursuant to the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program to finance wholesale electricity and/or natural gas costs incurred due to extraordinary prices between February 10th and 20th, 2021, establishing a dedicated source of revenue for repayment of such loan, authorizing and approving certain documents in connection therewith, and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the loan agreement.
Motion to approve 1617 for third reading by
Second.
title only at tonight's meeting.
Have a motion and a second.
You might not have got that one.
Is there any other questions, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed,
Yes.
no.
Sorry,
That's
fell
okay.
asleep.
All right, bill number 1617, emergency. An emergency ordinance authorizing the execution of a loan agreement between the City of Fulton, Missouri and the State of Missouri, acting by and through the Missouri Department of Natural Resources, Division of Energy, for the purpose of obtaining a loan pursuant to the Municipal Utility Emergency Loan Program to finance wholesale electricity and/or natural gas costs incurred due to extraordinary prices between February 10th and 20th, 2021, establishing a dedicated source of revenue for repayment of such loan, authorizing and approving certain documents in connection therewith, and authorizing certain other actions in connection with the loan agreement.
Motion to approve Bill 1617 for final passage at tonight's meeting by title only.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. You missed it, Mike.
No, I was deferring to
Resting.
others.
We were waiting for Lauren.
I would like to note, I got the second.
I got it.
The first third.
It's the little things in life, right?
It
It's
is.
all right.
Yeah. Congratulations. So again, for those at home viewing, this is not our normal process. It's an emergency ordinance. That's why we're doing it all three readings at one time, like we are tonight. So, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. You've all heard the bill read 3 times. If you would, Madam Clerk, take final roll call for final vote.
All right, Ms. Nelson,
Yes.
Ms. Reclue,
Yes.
Mr. Simmons,
Yes.
Mr. Stone,
Yes.
Mr. Washington,
Yes.
Mr. West,
Yes.
Mr. Braun.
Yes.
7 council members affirmative.
All right, we'll move on to second reads. At this time, if you would, Councilman West, present Bill 1613.
Okay, I'm gonna go for third tonight too.
Okay.
Bill number 1613, an ordinance of the City of Fulton, Callaway County, Missouri, to approve the withdrawal of the City of Creel Springs, Williamson County, Illinois, and the Village of Tams, Alexander County, Illinois, as members of the Interstate Municipal Gas Agency, and to authorize the execution of a supplement to the agency agreement establishing the Interstate Municipal Gas Agency. I move for reading of second reading to be moved to third reading tonight at tonight's council meeting.
Second.
Why am I struggling with this?
I feel your pain.
Yeah, you had the easy one.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. This is after the the emergency last year. Some of the cities are opting out of IMGA. They have to have permission to do that. I don't know what they do if we say no. Does anybody know what
happens
if we say no? I guess.
I guess they stay in, I
They
don't
have
know.
to stay in, because
Yeah.
that's part of the laws of the IMGA.
If they want out, we don't want them in, right?
Yeah.
No, it does, it actually does kind of limit their negotiating power with less cities, I think.
I
So,
would think so.
I mean, it is a deal,
Right.
it's a thing,
Yeah.
but I don't think there's much we can do about it.
No.
Well, I don't think they're even operating gas, these two
They're
places.
really small.
Yeah, I don't think there's
Towns.
development.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
they're operating gas companies anymore, I don't think, or gas
So,
systems.
and it's not gonna affect our prices, correct?
No, it will not.
No, not in the short term for sure, maybe. I guess.
Not appreciably, I would think.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. You ready to go? Somebody gonna read that again?
Ready for
That would
third?
be, yes,
B, me.
Councilman West.
Bill number 1613, an ordinance of the City of Fulton, Callaway County, Missouri, to approve the withdrawal of the City of Creel Springs, Williamson County, Illinois, and the Village of Tams, Alexander County, Illinois, as members of the Interstate Municipal Gas Agency, and to authorize the execution of a supplement to the agency agreement establishing the Interstate Municipal Gas Agency. I may make a motion to place bill number 1613 for final passage at this council meeting.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. All right, at this time, you've all heard the bill read 3 times. If you would, Madam Clerk, take roll call for final vote.
All right, Ms. Reclue?
Yes?
Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yes.
And Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
7 council members affirmative.
All right, and we'll move on to third readings. Councilman Braun, if you would, bill number 1612.
Bill number 1612, an ordinance amending Chapter 94 of the Solid Waste Fulton City Code by repealing certain sections pertaining to recycling and yard waste, enacting new sections in lieu thereof, and establishing an effective date. I make a motion to put Bill 1512 for final passage at tonight's meeting.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor, I don't have any discussion on the ordinance, but I have had a few constituents reach out to me, just with a concern that if we're gonna limit what's being picked up by recycling to what's contained in the dumpsters, then, you know, the availability of additional dumpsters, and then also some of the larger items, like larger pieces of cardboard that are normally set beside the dumpster, we decided last time that it had to be in the dumpster. Just general concerns, things we've talked about here, things we've discussed as part of the ordinance, but I just wanted to bring it up. And then also, with that concern, if the volume of recycling for that person that has a dumpster is truly gonna be reduced each week to have to be contained within the dumpster, we may need to go back to more often instead of doing every other. That's their concern, is how much is going to pile up. My dumpster's full, now I've got to wait for 2 more weeks. And so just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Later in the year, we may need to look at if we've had complaints, if we've had additional concerns and things.
That's exactly the kind of feedback we want to hear.
That's,
So, yep.
Exactly.
and I meant to bring it up during council concerns, but I forgot.
That's
So this
okay.
was a perfect
That's okay,
opportunity.
we've got time, so, yes,
Jeff,
sir.
I certainly think that would be a good opportunity for us, especially around the holidays, maybe when we're not doing as much yard waste, to look at something like that. If yard waste
Yep.
wasn't being done, I mean, yeah, on recycle, because I mean, obviously around the holidays, there's a whole lot more recycle going out than,
Maybe we could shoot for maybe midway through this year to get a update, or maybe 3/4 through the year, get an update as to what changes may need to take place.
I think we also need to make sure and put out there again that if you want a recycling cart, to say something, because I know several people that I've talked to that said that they used to be on the list, you know, back when we didn't have anything, and I
Oh,
don't know if
right.
they fell off, but they never got one.
And we
Yeah.
can do another push. I know Darren has that in the upcoming newsletter. I know that Ryan's gonna be, you know, kind of highlighting that
Good
issue
idea.
too, but we can definitely do some social media pushes and things to get that message out there.
Put it,
how many do we have left?
Okay.
That's good.
That's impressive. You knew that right off top. Is it right? We don't know, but it sounded good.
Yeah.
It's a number.
Hey, he's popped it right off.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I want to kind of echo what Councilman Stone said, I had need this past weekend to put a rather large box. It used to have a Christmas tree in it, I just finally got around to getting rid of the box. But no way, without a lot of effort, is it gonna ever go into that recycling cart. So my original thought about, you know, having people have to put it in the cart was, I thought two reasons was I thought the truck driver just reached out with the arm and put it in. I didn't know he had to get out and
Yeah.
put it into the arm anyway. But the second reason, I wanted to encourage people to get carts, but I'm thinking that if there's something they have that's too large to fit in the cart, if they have it next to the cart, we gotta allow that, or at least entertain that. That's kind of where I'm thinking.
Councilman West,
Yes, sir?
I used to cut mines up if I can't fit it in there.
I know, and that's a lot of effort.
Fold it,
This box was huge.
That's what Richard did this last weekend. Honestly, he took a box as big as that, and he did. He took the time and put it, and got it in there.
And I told my wife, I said, we need to get this out before we quit
We'll get a second cake.
picking them up. Yeah,
We
exactly.
get a lot of these.
Say, Mike, just
Anyway.
if you could, if you're
It's
gonna cut your
doable.
boxes up, please use cut-resistant gloves, thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Is that a UE guy talking?
Yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah, those will be things we want to work, you know, kind of
Yeah.
talk about and be
Yeah.
getting an update maybe soon on that. How things are going, what's not working.
Yeah.
Yep.
Couple bugs,
That is-
yeah, there
yeah.
always is, so thank you for that. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. All those in favor say yes.
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 Opposed, no. At this time, we've heard the bill read 3 times. Madam Clerk, if you'll take roll call for final vote.
All right, Mr. Simmons?
Yes.
Mr. Stone?
Yes.
Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Mr. West?
Yes.
Mr. Braun?
Yes.
Ms. Nelson?
Yes.
And Ms. Reclue?
Yes.
7 council members affirmative and 1 absent.
The only announcement I have tonight is the next council meeting will be held Tuesday, June 8th. A work session will start at 6:30 and a regular session at 7. I don't have a need for executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor say yes.
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 Let's go. Good job.